Hello, my name is Annie, I'm 34 years old, and I'm the founder of a $52 million business. My journey to success has been shaped by a lot of hard work, setbacks, and, unfortunately, some unexpected challenges from my ex-husband, Carson, but through it all, I've learned the value of resilience and determination. When I was 24, freshly graduated from fashion school, I moved to Sacramento with big dreams of making it in the fashion industry. The road wasn't easy, but eventually, I found a job as a brand consultant for an art and antiques firm. It was at an art museum where I first met Carson. He was there admiring expensive art, and though he wasn't exactly my type, we quickly hit it off. 3 years later, we got married, and I moved into his grand mansion. Carson ran a successful luxury adventure travel business, and I continued working on my passion for fashion, balancing my consultancy job with creative projects. Life quickly fell into a routine: work during the week, dinner parties on the weekends, but in my spare time, I focused on fashion design. I had always loved designing custom dresses, and I felt it was time to take the leap and start my own fashion label. I had some savings, but it wasn't enough to launch a business, so I turned to Carson for support. One night, I said, "I've been thinking about starting a business. I've put my dreams on hold for too long." Carson was initially supportive. "Starting a business isn't easy, and it will take a lot of hard work," he said, but he agreed to help me financially, promising we would support each other's dreams. With Carson's help, I started my business. The first few months were a blur of long hours and intense work, but soon, our careers began pulling us in different directions. We drifted apart, and communication became scarce. I hoped things would improve once the business took off, but despite investing in quality materials and top designers, the business struggled to gain traction. I started doubting myself and wondering if I was cut out for this. At one of my lowest points, Carson suggested we throw a dinner party to reconnect with friends and take a break from the stress. We kept it simple, just a few close friends and takeout from a steakhouse, though I added my homemade brownies for dessert. That dinner turned out to be a turning point. It reminded me how important it was to have a support system and to find balance in life. As our guests arrived and we all settled into conversation, I could feel the weight lifting off my shoulders. "Thanks for having us over, Annie," one friend said as they walked in. "It's all about celebrating your achievements tonight," another added. "Thank you, everyone," I said with a warm smile. "It's wonderful to have such supportive friends around." To Annie's remarkable entrepreneurial journey, someone toasting. "Cheers to that," I replied, feeling proud but also nervous. "And Carson, how about we open that de Perron to make this evening even more memorable?" "Absolutely," Carson said, agreeing with a smile. The night was filled with laughter and celebration. Here's to friendship, success, and all the small moments that make life special. Cheers, everyone. As we ate, I received many compliments on my work. "Your designs are unique, Annie," Parker remarked as he admired a few pieces. "Thanks, Parker," I replied, feeling a mix of pride and nervous excitement. "You're practically a business guru now," another friend joked. "I'm just doing my best," I said modestly. But then Carson, with his usual bluntness, shifted the mood. "Annie's business is bold, sure, but let's face it, it's been burning through cash without much return." The room went quiet for a moment. "That's a bit harsh, Carson," one of our friends tried to ease the tension. "I'm just stating the facts," he responded, undeterred. With that kind of investment, I could have done wonders. Taken aback, I could only say, "Really, Carson? Maybe sticking to designing dresses was a better idea," he said, trying to change the subject with a smirk. The night continued, but Carson's words kept echoing in my mind. By the time everyone had left, I knew I needed to talk to him. I confronted him, feeling both hurt and confused. "Carson, we need to talk about tonight. Is that really how you feel about my business?" He sighed, clearly tired. "I might have overdone it with the drinks. It wasn't all me. Parker had me down a few too many." "This is serious, Carson. We hardly connect anymore," I said, hoping for some real clarity. "If you want honesty, here it is," he said finally. "Your business is draining us. It's probably my worst investment ever. Even worse than that ridiculous vintage golf club I bought." I was stunned. This was not the partner I had married, the one who once encouraged me and told me he believed in my dreams. His words were a harsh blow. When I first shared my vision for the business, Carson had said, "As your partner, I couldn't just dismiss your dreams," but now, he was saying something entirely different. Sometimes I pretended to be more supportive than I actually was. You can be intense, and honestly, I was afraid you'd hold it against me if I didn't support you, he confessed. Why didn't you tell me this before? I asked, hurt and confused. I'm telling you now, he responded. Think about it, you achieved what you wanted, right? When we first met, you were focused on your career, but you ended up with me. I make a good living, don't I? So, you think I married you just for your money? I asked, feeling insulted. You were stuck in a low-paying job when I met you. I invested in your business, and you wouldn't have made it without me, he said, his words cold and bitter. Instead of complaining, you should be grateful. I had plenty of other successful women to choose from, but I chose you. His words cut deep, and I felt my heart sink. You know what, Carson, maybe we need to take a break. I packed my things and moved out, staying with my sister Harlow. She had room for me and was looking for a roommate, which worked out perfectly. For the first time in a long while, I felt free from Carson's negativity. I immersed myself in work, focusing solely on my business without distractions. Slowly but surely, I began to rebuild. My clothing line took off, and soon, influencers were talking about my designs. The business was thriving, and I was more determined than ever. Carson, however, didn't let go easily. He called almost every day, but I ignored him. I needed space to figure things out, but after a while, I decided it was time to face him and gather my things from our old house. I drove there, hoping to find closure. When I arrived, Carson wasn't home. I went straight to my office, thinking about all that had happened. As I was about to leave a voicemail for him, I noticed something strange in our bedroom. Women's clothing was scattered all over the bed, dresses, a black silk robe, and makeup all over the dresser. I was in shock. Carson had been seeing someone else and had brought her into our home, our sanctuary. I couldn't believe it. I drove back to Harlow's place, feeling numb. When I arrived, I broke down in tears. Harlow, always understanding, noticed right away. Hey, what happened? Did things not go well with Carson? It's over, I whispered. It's finally over. I managed to choke out through tears. It's not just what he said anymore, it's what I saw. Harlow looked confused. Wait, are you saying he cheated? That he brought someone else into our shared space? Yeah, I said, nodding. He cheated and brought her into our bedroom, our sanctuary. Harlow was speechless. She just stood there for a moment, her mouth slightly open. Then, she wrapped her arms around me and whispered, "Oh, Sue, I can't believe this. I'm so sorry you're going through this." I shook my head, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. I thought I was overreacting when I said I needed space, but walking in on that scene, I don't know if I'll ever look at him the same again. Harlow took both my hands in hers and looked me straight in the eyes. Listen to me, Sue. You are strong, and you deserve so much better than this. We'll get through this together, step by step. Her words were like a lifeline. I nodded, trying to hold myself together. There's just one step I'm ready to take now. I'm calling my lawyer tomorrow to start the divorce. The next time I see Carson, it will be to hand him those papers. Harlow's face grew serious. Are you sure? I mean, is this too hasty? No, Harlow, I'm sure. He disrespected me, and cheating is a deal-breaker, I said, my voice firm. Whatever you decide, Sue, I've got your back. Your life, your call, I'm with you all the way, she said, reassuring me. The next day, I did exactly what I said I would. I called my lawyer, and the event. Even though inside I was falling apart, my business was booming, and I had rewarded myself with a few luxury purchases. I invited all my close friends to the event, hoping to mix business and personal support. The day of the event was a whirlwind. There were so many people, socialites, influencers, and my closest friends all mingling and celebrating. I was in high spirits, making sure everyone had a good time. But then, the evening took an unexpected turn. Security came to find me with news of a man causing a scene at the entrance. It was Carson. I was livid. How could he show up here, like this? I stormed over to confront him. Carson, is this what you've become? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady but feeling the anger boiling inside me. He sneered at me. I could ask you the same thing. What is all this? Annie, what are you trying to prove with all this nonsense? You think this makes you important? Not here, not now, I said, trying to maintain my composure. We'll talk tomorrow, just leave. But he wasn't done. Oh, throwing a party, gathering all these people, do you think this makes you successful? You're just making a fool of yourself. That was it, I couldn't take it anymore. Enough, Carson, I said firmly, motioning to security to escort him out. I could feel the eyes of everyone on me as he was escorted away, but I didn't let it ruin the evening. I pushed the incident out of my mind and focused on the people who were there to support me. But something inside me had shifted. I had grown so much stronger through all of this, and I knew exactly what I needed to do next. The next day, I sent Carson a check, more out of spite than anything else, just to puncture his inflated ego. He tried calling me multiple times afterward, but I ignored him. I had no interest in hearing anything he had to say. When the divorce papers were finally ready, I decided to deliver them personally. But it wasn't just the papers I was bringing. I wanted to confront him about everything, about how he tried to tear me down, how he'd disrespected me, and how he'd made a joke out of everything I'd worked for. I knocked on the door of our old home, and Carson answered. We stepped inside, and as soon as the door closed behind us, he tried to apologize. Honey, I'm sorry for everything. It started as a joke, and it just got out of hand, he said, his voice filled with a mix of guilt and irritation. I cut him off. Enough, Carson, you think a simple apology can fix everything? You've been unfaithful, and you've tried to tear me down, not just as your wife but as a person. You don't get to apologize and expect everything to be okay. His face flushed, and he stumbled over his words, trying to come up with some excuse, but I wasn't interested. I pulled the divorce papers out of my bag and handed them to him. It's over, Carson. I know my worth, and it's far beyond anything you've ever appreciated. This is goodbye. With that, I turned on my heel and left, leaving behind the wreckage of what had once been a marriage. I was ready to move forward, ready to build a new life on my own terms. As I drove back to Harlow's place, my mind raced. I couldn't help but wonder if all the cracks had been there long before I left. Had I seen the signs and ignored them? Was this why Carson had always hesitated when I talked about starting a family? I couldn't believe I had been so blind. But now, it was clear. Carson had never really been on my side. He only cared about himself. I didn't want to waste any more energy questioning everything. The marriage was over. It had been a disaster. And now, it was time to move on. A few days later, I sent Carson a text. I never cashed the check you sent because it's not about the money for me. I wanted us to work through our issues, but you were more focused on holding on to everything tightly. You think money means nothing? He texted back. You've always been so determined to prove something. I replied, it's just money, Carson, and it means nothing to me now. You've always made it about that, though. It's time for you to let go. Annie, what are you really trying to prove? He responded. I smiled to myself, knowing exactly what I needed to say. I'll show you what I mean. Look at this. These are the divorce papers. It's time to end this chapter. The next text I sent was a little more pointed. And by the way, this is my balance sheet for the $52 million business you mocked. The one you thought was a joke. What? He texted back. This is yours? Yeah, Carson, this is my business, the one you tried to tear down. It's thriving, and it was all done without your support. I built this empire on my own. I could almost hear his jaw drop through the text. Wait, you actually made it? Not only did I make it, but I made it without your negativity. I can't believe how far I've come. And it's only just the beginning. Funny how success suits me, right? The divorce was final, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I was free. I was ready to take on the world. And next month, I was moving to Philadelphia, the heart of fashion. As for Carson, I heard he turned our old house into a bachelor pad, wallowing in his regret. But that didn't matter to me anymore. I was proving him wrong every day, and I didn't need anyone's approval to know my worth. I had that covered all by myself.